Let me tell you something most people never figure out until it's too late. Real power does not live out in the open, exposed for the world to witness and judge. It does not shout for attention or step up on a stage and declare itself. Because the moment you do that, the moment you declare your strength and your intentions, you become vulnerable, and the wolves start circling. The truth is, those who hold real power, the kind that shapes outcomes, changes history, bends people and systems quietly to their will, they understand one rule above all else: never compete openly. Never make it obvious that you are in the game at all. The most dangerous man in the room is not the one making noise, it is the one listening silently, learning, mapping the players without revealing his hand. When you compete openly, you place yourself in a ring where everyone can see your moves. They study you, they adapt, they prepare, and worse yet, they attack. The brighter your flame, the faster the moths gather, the more enemies you attract, the more people you give the chance to destroy you. The moment you step forward and show ambition, you give the world both permission and incentive to cut you down, because power makes people anxious, and visible power puts a target on your back. You know, growing up, I used to think that if you had the skill, if you had the strength, the clarity, the courage, then you should go out there and win in front of everybody. Claim your title, prove it. Boy, was I wrong. That's how people get taken down over and over again, not because they are weak, but because they are too visible. And in being visible, they become predictable. Once everybody knows you are a player, they start planning your downfall. Let me give you an image. Think of the world like a chessboard, and everyone wants to be the king. But the king is the most overexposed piece, easily cornered, surrounded at all times, barely mobile, and the first one everyone is focused on. But then you look at the queen, move silently in every direction, can strike with unbelievable power, and yet no one focuses on her until she strikes, because she is not the prize. She is the threat hiding behind her silence. And that is the heart of this point. Never compete where others are watching. Never enter a direct contest where stakes are high and eyes are higher, because the moment you make yourself part of a competition, you automatically create rivals. You spark comparisons, and you give people a reason to resent you at best and destroy you at worst. Be smarter than that. Be the one who masters indirect paths, the one who shapes alliances, whispers in ears, never argues but always influences. Break away from the illusion that power comes through open confrontation or public dominance. That is what the naive do. They step into the sun, thinking their brilliance will dazzle everyone, but all it really does is blind them while making them easier targets. You only get one shot at the real game, and you do not win it by shouting about your talents. You win it by waiting, planning, choosing the moment to shift the pieces from behind the curtain. This is not cowardice. This is not manipulation. This is intelligent strength, the ability to delay the desire to dominate until you have irreversible control. So when you are fighting for a role, a spot in the hierarchy, a title, a voice in the room, do not ever let them see you trying. Do not ever make it about comparison or outshining someone else. Make your moves in ways that seem accidental, effortless. Make influence feel organic, as if others came to your position of their own accord. Create the illusion that you are simply there while the power flows around you, because that's when it becomes unshakable. When nobody can point to the moment you took it. And when the dust settles, and everyone else has burned their energy in open competition, tearing each other down, betraying, wasting resources and time, you will be the one left standing, not because you fought harder, but because you never exposed yourself to that fight in the first place. You let them come to you. You let them think they were leading, running, winning, while you were simply watching and redirecting. Slowly, invisibly, permanently. That's how power works. Not through noise, but through silence. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. There is something you learn real quick if you watch long enough in this life, and it is this. The moment you stand up and let yourself be seen, the moment you show your cards, your intentions, your strength, even your ambition, you instantly become a target. The world does not cheer for your rise, it prepares for your fall. The bigger the shadow you cast, the more people want to step into it, and the more people want to step into it. Take what you have. Visibility is the invitation to be challenged, and people will answer that invitation every single time. You see, we are taught that being seen, being known, being recognized is how you win. We are told to be bold, to be loud, to make our presence known. But the deeper truth is that visibility is a trap, because with visibility comes vulnerability. And once people can see how you move, they can block your path. Once they understand your power, they can start working to tear it down. And if you think you can simply overpower them, think again, because exposure changes the nature of power. It turns strategy into struggle and timing into chaos. There is a reason the most powerful forces in nature are the quietest. The wind that shifts the ocean, the plate that moves the earth. It is subtle, almost invisible, but it holds everything in balance. And when it finally moves, everything changes. Power is the same. Its strength does not lie in showing up first. It lies in knowing when to move, and most importantly, when to be still. Hiding in plain sight is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is protection. When you compete openly, you step onto a battlefield where everyone is watching, and more importantly, where everyone is preparing. And trust me, they are not preparing to clap for you. They are sharpening knives, watching your every move, gathering data on your habits, your limits, your loyalties. When you're visible, your enemy does not have to search for you. And here is the thing, the loudest one in the room gets aimed at first, and he rarely lasts long. You got to understand, people are not just competing for prizes, for status, for positions. People are competing for the narrative, for the perception that they control things. And when you become visible, when you look like the one with the power, you become the obstacle to their story. So you start getting cut in ways you never see coming, ways that come disguised as smiles and handshakes, and opportunities that are really just traps. There is a story they will never tell you about how true influence works. The ones with real control do not challenge authority directly. They influence those who influence. They shape decisions before they reach the table. They never raise their hand. They never raise their voice. They never invite attack, because they are not in the ring. They built the ring and let someone else take the spotlight and the heat. You want to protect your strategy, stay in the shadows. You want to outlast the others. Do not let them see your structure, your methods, your goals. Once they do, it is only a matter of time before they reverse engineer your path and figure out how to knock you off it. Survival is not about being the fiercest wolf in the pack. It is about being the one that does not get seen until the time is exactly right. You can walk into a room and let everyone see your hunger, hear your plans, show your edge, or you can walk in and let them assume you are still learning, still watching. Let them underestimate you, let them forget about you. Keep your real movement underground while they burn out chasing each other in circles. The visible compete, the invisible command. We live in an age where everyone is broadcasting themselves, shouting over each other to be seen, heard, felt, and honestly, most of them are losing while doing it. They are wasting their energy trying to be first instead of being right, trying to win attention when what they really need is control. Control does not come from exposure, it comes from positioning, and position requires patience. So when you feel the urge to speak, to step forward, to prove yourself, take a breath. Ask yourself if this serves your long game or just your ego. Ask if this puts you in a place of power or just a place of pride. Do not confuse motion with power, and do not mistake visibility for victory. The ones who move in silence win longer and last stronger because they are not constantly defending a visible crown. And when you stay quiet, when you move with purpose, when you let others reveal themselves while you stay unreadable, that is when you own the real leverage in any room you walk through. People cannot touch what they cannot see. They cannot kill what never appears in the open. That is how you survive beyond the spotlight. Everybody wants to be the one in charge, the one calling the shots, sitting at the head of the table, holding the title, wearing the crown, because that's what we are taught, right? That power is about being the visible leader, the front man, the public figure. But let me tell you, that kind of power is fragile. Because the moment you are seen as the center of control, you become the center of blame, the target for every problem, every failure, every ambition that wants to replace you. Real power does not sit in the spotlight. It operates from behind the scenes. It influences without making announcements. It guides others without needing to take credit. It is not about being the king. It is about controlling the king. Not about being the loudest voice, but about writing the script that everyone else is reading off. That is how the real players win. They are not trying to be celebrated. They are trying to be effective. You want to know who the most important person in the room is. Not the one talking, not the one standing at the front. It is the one every decision passes through, the one getting the calls before the meetings even happen, the one who is never questioned, because no one is even aware they are pulling strings, from a place of complete discretion. That is the throne behind the throne, subtle and untouchable. We live in a world where people chase attention like it is a form of validation, but attention is not power. Attention is bait. Attention creates pressure and expectations, and once people expect too much from you, they demand more than they respect you. And your actions start to serve the image instead of the outcome. So you lose control of the game while still looking like you are winning it. Instead of sitting at the head of the empire, build the walls, write the rules, decide where the doors go and who gets access. You do not need to own the title if you control the system around it. Power is not about being the face. It is about designing the frame and deciding what gets lifted and what gets left behind. Influence is more durable than authority because influence can survive change. Leadership can be replaced quickly. Influence cannot. When you master indirect control, you do not need credit. You just make sure you are always present in the decisions, in the deals, in the movements that shape the future. Even if no one ever says your name, you are in their actions, whether they admit it or not. Your fingerprints are all over the choices being made, even when someone else signs off on them. Do you ever notice how some people always seem to benefit no matter who is in charge? No matter who rises or falls, they remain untouched, even respected across sides. Across rivalries, that is not by accident. That is the result of mastering indirect control, of stepping away from obvious power while never releasing actual influence. They move like shadows, but land like storms, quiet until they are undeniable. You become dangerous when people underestimate your reach, when they do not know how many people check with you before making their next move. When they do not realize every room they walk into, you already shaped every decision they thought was independent had your hand underneath it. That is the game. No one teaches the game where presence does not require appearance, the game where the loudest man draws all the fire, while you just redirect his spotlight until it burns him up. It is easier to protect what no one knows you are building. It is easier to last when nothing depends on your image. When you influence through conversation, through suggestion, through silence, the world misses what is not obvious. And that is the gift of indirect control. The freedom to fail in the dark until your success is unstoppable. The ability to move others while staying still yourself. See, people will spend years trying to be impressive, trying to be admired, when they should be trying to be essential. Once you are essential, you do not need applause. You are kept close, trusted, needed. Your name is behind the curtain, but your decisions ripple straight through the fabric of whatever empire you are building. And that is more powerful than any speech, any award, any spotlight ever could be. Let them lead the meetings. Let them make the announcements. Let them wear the badges. If you know that at the end of the day nothing major moves without your word, your insight, your nod, then you have already won more than any title could offer. Direct power is easy to see, which makes it easy to challenge. Indirect power is almost impossible to detect and even harder to remove. Build your power like a story told in silence. No signature, no spotlight, no public victories, just quiet control over everything that matters. That is how you become the force behind the throne. One of the greatest powers you will ever have is the ability to control perception. And the most dangerous thing you can ever do is to let people see you too clearly. Once they think they have you figured out, they start defending against you. They prepare for your strength. They plan around your ambition, but when you appear weak or indifferent or average, they never see you coming. And that is what gives you the advantage. I am not saying play dumb. I am saying never show the full picture of who you are. Never give them the full map, because then they can trace every step you take. Keep pieces of yourself tucked away. Let them believe you are simple or slow. Let them assume you are not a threat, because that gives you room to move. It gives you space to grow without resistance. And space is everything when it comes to power. Most people get caught up in trying to prove themselves. They want everyone to know how good they are, how ready, how smart, how strong. And the moment they start broadcasting all that, they paint a target on their backs. The truth is, when people believe you are powerful, they start to build walls against you. When they think you are harmless, they open doors for you. That is the paradox of influence. Power moves best when it looks like weakness, and control lasts longer when it looks like silence. The quiet one in the back, the one no one pays attention to, is often the one running the room, because no one is guarding against him. No one is expecting him to step forward and take over, but when he does, it is already too late to stop him. You ever seen someone pretend they are not hungry for the throne, and then one day they are sitting on it? That is not luck. That is calculated perception. That is long-term patience. That is the art of deception. Not the kind of deception that lies, but the kind that conceals. The kind that plays the role people expect, while quietly building a reality they are not ready for. And maybe some of you are thinking, but if I hide my strength, won't I be overlooked? And what I will tell you is that being overlooked is one of the greatest strategic positions you will ever hold. No one defends against what they cannot see coming. No one blocks a strike they were not even aware was being prepared. When you look harmless, they do not stand in your way, they leave you space. And in time, they leave you power. You do not win by showing people you are the smartest in the room. You win by letting them believe they are, and guiding them with quiet suggestion. You do not get ahead by declaring war on your enemies. You get ahead by letting your enemies think you are no threat at all. You walk lightly, you make moves quietly, and every step forward is taken while your opponents are busy staring somewhere else. There is something powerful about silence and hesitation, about the moment right before the wave crashes, when everything looks still, but something unstoppable is building underneath people. Ignore still water until it moves, and then it is too late to get out of the way. And I want you to be like that, like water that disguises depth, like wind that whispers until it screams. Let others be loud, let them flash their strength, let them announce their ambition and celebrate it. All you have to do is smile, nod, and keep walking toward a future they will never see coming. While they are building alliances, you are mapping the weaknesses in them. While they are chasing rewards, you are setting up the next 10 moves so that when the time comes, they are already standing on a board you shaped without them knowing it. By the time they realize how dangerous you are, you will already be in control, not because you fought harder, but because you never looked like a fighter, not because you were faster, but because they never thought the race included you. That is shadow power, moving without being counted, preparing without being challenged, striking only when the outcome is certain. Hold back your full strength, hide your most valuable ideas, delay your real objectives. Let small victories go without contest, so they don't know what you really want. Keep them unbalanced. Never give them the satisfaction of reading your face or your thoughts or your purpose, because when they understand you, they will move against you. When they remain confused, they will hesitate. And hesitation is the moment you take everything. While they are trying to decide if you are real, you become undeniable. That is what it means to appear weak and operate strong. That is what it means to control perception and weaponize it without ever lifting your voice. That is how you turn deception into domination.